She removed the spear from the dying wolf. Unaware, she was saving the Alpha King in disguise. Why would she risk herself to save a dying wolf she knew nothing about? And how would everything change when she discovered who the wounded creature truly was? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Before we begin, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional Alpha King romance filled with mystery, danger, and unexpected connections. Thank you for continuing to watch, support, and share these stories with us. Your encouragement means more than you know. Tell us in the comments. Would you help a dangerous wounded animal if you believed leaving it behind meant certain death? Now settle in, listen closely, and let us begin with the moment one compassionate choice changed everything. "Don't die before I get this thing out," Emma Collins whispered. "I am not carrying a wolf this size back to the village." The black wolf opened one amber eye. A low growl rolled from his chest. Emma froze in the falling snow. "Good," she said softly. "You still have enough strength to threaten me." The wolf was enormous. Even collapsed beneath the pine trees, he looked larger than any wolf Emma had treated before. Black fur covered a powerful body, but blood darkened the snow beneath his shoulder. A black and silver spear had been driven through him. Emma tightened her grip on the leather healer bag hanging from her shoulder. Every sensible instinct told her to leave. A wounded wolf was dangerous. A wounded alpha wolf was worse. And whatever this creature was, no ordinary hunter had needed a weapon like that to bring him down. Emma stepped closer. The wolf bared his teeth. "I know." Another growl. "I would be angry too." She crouched several feet away and studied the spear. Its shaft was black wood reinforced with silver bands. Near the broken grip, a tiny raven had been carved into the metal. Emma frowned. "That is not a hunting spear." The wolf's eye opened wider. "You understand me, don't you?" No response. Emma almost laughed at herself. "Wonderful. Now I'm talking to dying animals." She removed her gloves. The winter air bit immediately into her fingers. "If I pull this straight out, the silver tip could tear the wound open." The wolf's breathing grew weaker. Emma stopped joking. "Stay with me." She opened her healer bag and removed a small knife, clean cloth, moonroot paste, and a wooden clamp. Her hands trembled. She hated that. Not because she was afraid of blood, because she was afraid of failing. Emma crawled closer. The wolf growled again, but this time the sound broke halfway through. "I know it hurts." She placed one hand near the wound. The instant her fingers touched his fur, something strange moved beneath it. Warmth, then a faint pulse of golden light. Emma pulled back. For one heartbeat, she thought she had seen a crest beneath the black fur, a crown surrounded by fur claw marks. Then it vanished. "What are you?" The wolf's head dropped into the snow. Emma's fear disappeared. "Hey." She touched his face. "Look at me." "Nothing." She quickly cut away the blood-soaked fur around the spear. The silver had burned the flesh beneath it. Emma pressed moonroot paste around the wound. The wolf jerked. "I'm sorry." His claws dug into the snow. Emma wrapped both hands around the spear shaft. "On 3. She inhaled. 1. The wolf's amber eye opened. 2. His breathing stopped for one terrible second. Emma pulled. The spear came free. The wolf roared. Emma fell backward as blood spilled across the snow. "No, no, no." She crawled forward again, pressing folded cloth against the wound. "Stay with me." The wolf snapped weakly toward her hand. Emma glared at him through frightened tears. "Fine. Bite me after I save you." She pressed harder. Slowly, the bleeding weakened. Emma tore the blue cloth ribbon from her own braid, the last thing her mother had given her, and wrapped it tightly around the wolf's shoulder. His amber eyes found hers. For the first time, there was no warning in them, only exhaustion. Emma exhaled shakily. "That's better." She looked at the spear lying beside them. The raven insignia glistened beneath fresh blood. Someone had not hunted this wolf. Someone had executed him. Emma reached for her bag. "I need to get you somewhere warm." The wolf tried to stand. His legs failed instantly. Emma caught his heavy head against her lap. "Absolutely not." Snow gathered across his black fur. She pulled her cloak around his neck as far as it would reach. "I don't know who wanted you dead," she whispered. The wolf's breathing slowed. "But they are going to be very disappointed." His eyes closed. Emma wrapped both arms around him. Then the faint golden crest appeared beneath his fur again. This time, she was too busy keeping him alive to see the royal crown hidden inside it. "Growl once if it hurts," Emma said. Twice if you're just being dramatic. The black wolf opened one amber eye. Then he growled twice. Emma stared at him. For a moment, silence filled the cottage. Then she laughed. You are impossible. The wolf let his head fall back onto the folded blankets. 3 days had passed since Emma dragged him from the forest. She still did not know how she managed it. A broken sled, 2 ropes, several threats, and more stubbornness than strength had finally gotten him through her door before the storm buried the road. Now he occupied most of her narrow bed. Emma occupied everything else. The wooden chair beside the fireplace had become where she slept. Her kitchen table had become a treatment station. And the largest creature she had ever seen had somehow developed opinions about every medicine she owned. Emma stirred moonroot into warm water. The wolf watched suspiciously. Yes, you are drinking this. He turned his head away. You survived a spear through the shoulder, but tea is where you draw the line. His ear twitched. Emma lifted the cup. If you bite me, I am charging extra. The wolf looked at her. Something almost intelligent passed through his eyes. Emma had noticed that more each day. He understood tone too well. Names too. Yesterday, she had mentioned the Alpha King while complaining about royal taxes, and the wolf had nearly knocked over the water bowl. Emma crouched beside the bed. All right. Slowly. She slipped one hand beneath his jaw and held the cup near his mouth. After a long pause, he drank. See? A faint growl. Drama. She smiled. Lucas Blackwood wanted to tell her he understood every word. He wanted to tell her he was not a stray wolf. He wanted to tell her that somewhere beyond the forest, the royal guard was probably searching every road in the kingdom. But the silver poison still trapped him inside his wolf form. Every attempt to shift ended with fire tearing through his wounded shoulder. So he watched and listened. That afternoon, someone knocked. Emma immediately pulled a blanket over Lucas's wound. Stay. He gave her an offended look. Yes, I know how ridiculous that sounds. She opened the door. Mrs. Parker stood outside, holding a coughing little boy. He got worse. Emma's expression changed instantly. Bring him in. For the next hour, Lucas watched from the bed as Emma examined the child, mixed herbs, warmed his hands, and explained every step to his frightened mother. When Mrs. Parker reached for a coin purse, Emma shook her head. No, Emma, please. You need the money for food. But the medicine, I already made it. Mrs. Parker's eyes filled. Thank you. After they left, Emma closed the door and leaned against it. Her smile disappeared. She looked tired, hungry. Lucas watched her open the cupboard. 1 loaf of bread, a small jar of dried beans. Very little else. Emma tore the bread in half. She placed the larger piece into a bowl with broth and carried it toward him. Lucas stared. No arguments. He looked toward her portion. Smaller. Much smaller. Emma followed his gaze. Do not start. He did not eat. She folded her arms. You need protein. Lucas continued staring at her bread. Emma sighed. You are emotionally manipulating me, and I resent how effective it is. She broke another piece from her own portion and ate it deliberately. Only then did Lucas begin. Later that evening, another knock came. A well-dressed hunter stood outside. His eyes moved past Emma toward the bed. That black wolf yours? No, I'll give you 20 gold pieces for the body if it dies. Lucas went completely still. Emma's face changed. It is not dying. If it does. No, 30. No. The hunter noticed the spear leaning beside the fireplace. His interest sharpened. That weapon is worth more than your cottage. Emma stepped between him and the doorway. It is evidence that someone tried to kill something. Something? Emma looked back at Lucas, then at the hunter. Someone. She closed the door in his face. That night, silver fever returned. Lucas shook beneath the blankets. Emma sat beside him, pressing a cool cloth against his head. Without realizing it, she began humming. A soft lullaby, the same one her mother had sung when winter storms frightened her as a child. Lucas's breathing slowed. His wolf stopped fighting the poison. Emma leaned closer. I don't care who owned that spear, she whispered. Lucas opened his amber eyes. I only care who wanted you dead. He looked at her for a long time. Because I am the king, he thought. And for the first time in years, Lucas Blackwood wondered what it might feel like to be cared for by someone who had no idea he could give her anything in return. You gave away your last winter medicine, Lucas thought, watching Emma close the cupboard. And you still think I am the one who needs saving. The 4th morning began before sunrise. Emma was already awake. She moved quietly around the cottage, grinding dried herbs beneath the weak orange light of the fireplace, while Lucas rested on the bed. His wound was closing, too slowly for an Alpha King. The silver poison was still buried somewhere inside him. But that was not what held his attention. Emma did. A knock sounded at the door. She sighed. Please let this be someone bringing food instead of needing it. Lucas lifted his head. Emma opened the door. A young mother stood outside with a little girl wrapped in a patched wool cloak. The child was shivering. Emma immediately stepped aside. What happened? Fever since midnight. Emma touched the girl's forehead. Her expression sharpened. Bring her closer to the fire. The mother hesitated. I cannot pay until next month. Emma was already reaching for her healer bag. I didn't ask. Lucas watched her work. She checked the girl's breathing. Mixed willow bark with moonroot. Wrapped warm cloth around the child's feet. Then Emma opened the small wooden box beside her medicine shelf. Lucas recognized it. Her winter supply. She had complained about its price the night before. Only 2 doses remained. Emma used one. The girl's breathing eased within minutes. Her mother began crying. Emma smiled. Take the other dose. Lucas's ears lifted. The mother shook her head. You need it. So does she. After they left, Emma stared at the empty box for several seconds. Then she returned to the table as if nothing had happened. Lucas growled. She glanced over. 1 growl for pain. He growled again. 2 for dramatic. A 3rd growl followed. Emma narrowed her eyes. That is not one of the options. Lucas looked toward the empty medicine box. Emma followed his gaze. Oh, she leaned against the table. You disapprove. He stared at her. She needed it. His tail struck the bed once. Emma almost smiled. You are becoming very judgmental for someone who tried to bite me 3 days ago. Lucas lowered his head. She walked over and checked the bandage around his shoulder. The blue cloth ribbon was still tied there. Her mother's ribbon. Emma had washed it twice, but traces of his blood remained. I should replace this. Lucas immediately placed one paw over it. Emma blinked. You like the ribbon? He did not move. That is strangely sentimental. Lucas looked away. Emma smiled. Fine. Keep it. She changed the dressing around it instead. Her fingers were gentle, not hesitant anymore. Lucas had spent years surrounded by nobles who studied his face before speaking. People who measured every word by what it might earn them. Emma complained to him, laughed at him, used her last medicine on strangers, and slept in a chair because she believed an injured animal deserved the bed more than she did. She had no idea he was watching. That was what made every small choice impossible to dismiss. Later that afternoon, Emma carried the spear to the table. She examined the raven insignia beneath a magnifying lens. If I sold this, she murmured, I could buy medicine for the entire winter. Lucas went still. Emma traced the silver bands, then shook her head. No, she wrapped the weapon in cloth. If someone used this to kill you, selling it would destroy evidence. Lucas stared at her. Emma caught him watching. What? He blinked. You think I am being stupid? Lucas remained still. Probably. She placed the spear beneath the floorboards. I can be poor and correct at the same time. That evening, silver fever struck him again. Lucas trembled beneath the blankets. Emma sat beside him, exhaustion heavy beneath her eyes. She placed a cool cloth against his head and began humming the same lullaby. His wolf calmed almost immediately. Emma looked surprised. You like that song? Lucas closed his eyes. Her voice softened. My mother used to sing it when I was scared. She continued until his breathing steadied. Then she rested her head against the edge of the bed. I wish you could tell me who did this to you. Lucas opened his eyes. Emma was already asleep. Her hand rested beside his paw. Not touching, just close. Lucas looked at the woman who had saved him when no one was watching. The woman who had asked for nothing. For the first time since becoming king, he felt something more frightening than silver. He wanted to stay. A distant howl cut through the night. Lucas's head snapped toward the window. Another answered. Royal Guard. Daniel had found him. Emma stirred beside the bed. Lucas looked down at the blue ribbon around his shoulder. By sunrise, the king would have to return. And Emma Collins still had no idea the wolf sleeping in her cottage wore a crown. If you disappear before I wake up, Emma murmured sleepily. I am going to assume wolves are as rude as kings. Lucas Blackwood went completely still. Emma had fallen asleep beside the bed again. Her head rested against folded arms, chestnut hair spilling across the blanket while the fire burned low behind her. She had no idea how close her joke had come to the truth. Outside, another distant howl sounded. Royal Guard. Daniel Hayes had found him. Lucas looked toward the door, then back at Emma. For 4 days, she had treated him like nothing more than an injured animal. No bowing, no flattery, no fear of saying exactly what she thought. He had almost forgotten what it felt like to exist without everyone watching the crown before they watched the man. Morning came gray and cold. Emma packed her healer bag. I need moonroot from the southern ridge. Lucas lifted his head. Yes, I know. You disapprove of everything. She checked his shoulder. The wound had closed enough for him to stand, but silver still burned beneath the skin. Emma retied the blue ribbon carefully. You stay here. Lucas stared at her. Do not give me that look. She pulled on her cloak. I will be back before noon. At the door, she hesitated. Then she looked over her shoulder. You are not allowed to die while I'm gone. Lucas almost wished he could answer. I won't. The door closed. Less than 10 minutes later, Daniel entered through the rear window. Lucas growled. Daniel raised both hands. Good to see you too, Your Majesty. 3 royal guards waited outside among the trees. Daniel's face became serious. We have been searching for you for 5 days. Lucas attempted to shift. Pain tore through his shoulder. This time, however, the transformation completed. Black fur disappeared. A tall, muscular man collapsed against the bed, breathing hard. Daniel caught his arm. Lucas looked toward the cottage door. She cannot know yet. Daniel stared at him. The healer. She saved my life. Then why leave without telling her? Lucas looked down. The blue ribbon remained tied around his wounded shoulder. Because Victor Crane thinks I am dead. Daniel's expression changed. Lucas continued. If whoever ordered that spear learns she kept me alive, Emma becomes evidence they may want erased. Daniel understood. You need to return before the court announces your death. Yes. Lucas dressed quickly in spare clothing Daniel had brought. He considered leaving gold. His hand stopped above the table. Emma would hate that. Worse, she would think payment was all her kindness had been worth. So Lucas left nothing. Nothing except the knowledge that he would return. He took the blue ribbon with him. Emma came back an hour later. The cottage was silent. Wolf, no movement. She smiled faintly. Very funny. Then she saw the empty bed. Her smile vanished. The blankets were cold. The bloody dressings remained. But the black wolf was gone. Emma rushed outside. Large paw prints crossed the snow. They ended near the forest road. Idiot. She followed them several yards. Nothing. No blood. No body. Relief came first. Then anger. You could have at least waited until I changed the bandage. She returned to the cottage. Her eyes went to the bed. The blue ribbon was gone. Emma touched her empty braid. For some reason, that hurt more than it should have. Beneath the floorboards, the spear remained exactly where she had hidden it. By afternoon, horses approached. Emma stepped outside. 5 royal guards surrounded her cottage. Daniel Hayes dismounted. Emma Collins. Her hand tightened around the doorway. Yes. You are ordered to appear before the crown. Her stomach dropped. Why? Daniel looked toward the cottage. Because of a weapon recovered in this area. Emma's thoughts went immediately to the spear. What weapon? A black and silver spear bearing a raven insignia. She said nothing. Daniel studied her. Bring it. Emma's pulse quickened. Am I under arrest? No, that was not convincing. Something almost sympathetic entered his expression. You are a witness. 2 hours later, Emma entered Blackwood Castle for the first time. The throne hall was larger than her entire village square. Nobles lined both sides. Royal guards stood beneath black banners. At the far end sat Alpha King Lucas Blackwood. Emma stopped walking. Dark hair, powerful shoulders, a handsome, severe face, and amber eyes. Those eyes. Her grip tightened around the wrapped spear. Lucas looked directly at her. Emma forgot how to breathe. No, impossible. Then his hand shifted against the arm of the throne. His sleeve pulled back. Around his shoulder, beneath the edge of royal black fabric, Emma saw a strip of faded blue cloth. Her ribbon. The dying wolf had not disappeared. He had returned to his throne. Take off your shoulder bandage, Emma said. The throne hall went silent. Every noble turned toward her. Daniel Hayes closed his eyes for half a second, as if he already regretted bringing her inside. Alpha King Lucas Blackwood remained seated beneath the black and silver banners of his kingdom. His amber eyes never left Emma. A council elder frowned. You are addressing the Alpha King. I know. Emma tightened her grip around the wrapped spear. That is why I am trying very hard not to say what I actually want to say. A few nobles shifted. Lucas almost smiled. Almost. Lady Cassandra Whitmore stood near the throne in an elegant silver medieval gown, her expression sharpening with interest. The elder stepped forward. Emma Collins, you were summoned to explain how this weapon came into your possession. Emma looked at Lucas. I found it inside a wolf. Murmurs moved through the hall. Lucas's hand tightened on the armrest. Emma noticed. And what happened to this wolf? The elder asked. He survived. Where is it now? Emma's eyes remained on Lucas. That is what I would like to know. Lucas finally spoke. Bring me the spear. His voice was deeper in human form. But Emma knew that tone. The same stubborn silence. The same irritation when she forced bitter medicine between his teeth. She walked forward and placed the wrapped weapon on the council table. Lucas looked down at it. The raven insignia became visible. Victor Crane stood among the military advisors to the right of the throne. For one instant, his expression changed. Emma saw it. Then it vanished. Samuel Bennett, the royal physician, stepped toward the weapon. This is forged with concentrated silver. I know, Emma said. He glanced at her. You examined it? I removed it. Several nobles stared. Lucas's gaze lifted. Samuel frowned. From the wolf. Yes. That should have killed an ordinary shifter. It nearly did. Emma turned back toward Lucas. Which brings me to the shoulder bandage. Cassandra's eyebrows rose. Lucas stood. The hall immediately quieted. He descended the throne steps. Emma's anger grew with every step he took. He had been in her cottage. He had eaten her food. He had listened to her complain about royal taxes. And then he had vanished without one word. Lucas stopped in front of her. Emma. Her name sounded different when he said it as a man. You understood me. Yes. The entire time? Most of it. Her mouth fell open slightly. You let me call you dramatic. You were correct. Daniel looked away to hide a smile. Emma lowered her voice. You let me worry that you died. Lucas's expression changed. I had reasons. You had a mouth eventually. I could not risk leading the people who attacked me back to you. That would have been very thoughtful if you had mentioned it. The council elder cleared his throat. Emma ignored him. Bandage. Lucas studied her for a moment. Then he removed his dark royal coat. Gasps moved through the court. He pulled the collar of his black shirt aside. The blue ribbon Emma had tied around the wolf's shoulder was still there. Her anger disappeared beneath shock. Same wound. Same position. Same silver burn along the edges. Emma stared. You. Lucas's voice softened. You told me not to die. You stole my ribbon. You said I could keep it. When you were a wolf. A faint smile touched his face. Emma wanted to be furious. Instead, relief hit her so hard her eyes burned. He was alive. Really alive. Then her healer instincts took over. She stepped closer. Sit down. Samuel looked offended. His Majesty is under royal medical care. Emma touched Lucas's shoulder. He flinched. Her expression changed. That still hurts. It is healing. No, Emma pressed carefully beside the wound. Lucas's breath caught. She looked at Samuel. Did you remove the remaining silver? There was none. Emma stared at him. Then she grabbed Lucas's wrist. Sit. This time he obeyed. The court watched in disbelief as its alpha king sat on the lowest throne step. Emma opened her healer bag. She tested the wound with a thin moonsteel probe. Lucas's jaw tightened. There. A faint metallic sound clicked beneath the scar. Samuel went pale. Emma looked up. There is still a silver fragment inside him. How close? Daniel asked. Emma's expression hardened. To his heart. The hall erupted. Lucas reached for her hand. Emma looked at him. Can you remove it? Yes. Then do it. No speeches about trusting me. I already trusted you when I had teeth. Despite herself, Emma laughed once. Then she became serious. Hold still. She worked carefully. One incision. One breath. One small piece of silver came free. Lucas exhaled as if a weight had left his entire body. Emma held the fragment up. The room fell silent. Cassandra watched Lucas's hand close around Emma's during the pain. Her expression changed. Across the hall, Victor Crane's face became unreadable, and Emma finally understood something else. The spear had not failed to kill the king. Someone inside this palace had simply assumed no village healer would save him twice. I am not competing for a crown, Emma said. And I am definitely not dressing up to convince a king I already kept alive twice. Lucas Blackwood looked at her across the royal healer chamber. 3 days had passed since Emma removed the final silver fragment from his shoulder. The wound was finally closing properly. The court, unfortunately, had developed a new problem. A servant entered carrying a box of folded silk. Emma stared at it. No, the servant froze. Lucas leaned back against the carved chair. You have not opened it. I do not need to. It could be bandages. It is purple silk. Very expensive bandages. Emma gave him a flat look. Lucas smiled. Outside the healer chamber, bells rang across Blackwood Castle. The royal Luna selection had begun. For months, noble families had prepared daughters, alliances, gifts, and political agreements for the event. Lucas had nearly forgotten about it while bleeding in Emma's cottage. The council had not. They say the kingdom needs stability, he said. Emma returned to cleaning her medical instruments. Then marry a bridge. A bridge. Strong. Politically useful. Difficult to assassinate. Lucas laughed. Emma tried not to smile. You should not encourage me. I am discovering that is impossible. A knock sounded. Lady Cassandra Whitmore entered. She wore pale silver silk embroidered with pearls, graceful and perfectly composed. Emma immediately noticed the difference between Cassandra and several other noblewomen she had met. Cassandra did not look at her with open contempt. Only curiosity. Your Majesty, Cassandra said. Lucas nodded. Lady Whitmore. Her gaze moved toward Emma. The healer. Emma Collins. Cassandra inclined her head. I have heard quite a lot about you. Emma glanced at Lucas. Most of it was probably exaggerated. No, Lucas said. The biting threats were accurate. Emma stared at him. Cassandra's mouth twitched. I see. A council attendant appeared at the door. Your Majesty, the presentation is beginning. Lucas stood. Emma reached for his shoulder. Slowly. He stopped. The court watched an Alpha King obey a village healer without argument. Cassandra noticed that too. The grand presentation hall glittered with gold. One woman offered an ancestral sword. Another presented a treaty granting access to 3 northern trade roads. A third brought a chest of gemstones. Emma stood near the physician's gallery with her healer bag. She had no place among the candidates. That suited her, until Council Elder Robert Vale looked directly at her. Emma Collins. She frowned. Lucas's expression hardened. What are you doing? The elder smiled politely. Every woman invited into the royal selection is expected to present something. I was invited to monitor a wound. Nevertheless, your presence has become significant. Emma looked around the hall. Silk, gold, jewels. Every gift carried a price hidden beneath beauty. The elder continued. What have you brought the Alpha King? Emma looked at Lucas. He said nothing. He was letting her answer. She glanced toward the royal table. Then at the shoulder she had stitched twice. Nothing. Several nobles whispered. The elder raised an eyebrow. Nothing. I already gave him the thing I had. Your medicine? Emma shook her head. No, the hall quieted. A chance to live. Lucas stared at her. Emma immediately regretted how intimate the words sounded in a room full of strangers. But she did not take them back. Cassandra looked down at the jeweled box in her hands. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. Lucas reached beneath his black royal coat. He removed something carefully. A faded blue ribbon. Emma's ribbon. The cloth was simple. Worthless. Stained by old blood despite being cleaned. Lucas walked past the gold, jewels, and political contracts. He placed the blue bandage directly beside his crown. The entire hall fell silent. Emma's breath caught. One elder frowned. Your Majesty, surely you are not comparing that scrap of cloth to the gifts of noble houses. Lucas looked at him. No, then his eyes moved to Emma. I am reminding this court that value and price are not the same thing. Emma felt heat rise in her face. Across the hall, Victor Crane watched her with an expression far colder than before. Cassandra noticed him. So did Emma. Victor leaned toward one of his officers and whispered something. The officer quietly left. Emma's unease returned. She looked toward the blackened silver spear displayed behind the evidence screen at the far side of the chamber. The raven insignia seemed darker beneath the torchlight. Lucas followed her gaze. What is it? Emma lowered her voice. I think someone here is more interested in that spear than in your Luna selection. Victor looked back at her and smiled. If saving your life means I have to compete for it afterward, Emma said, then I would rather go home. The words stopped Lucas halfway across the healer chamber. Outside, Music from the Luna selection still echoed through Blackwood Castle. Inside, Emma packed dried herbs into her leather bag with more force than necessary. Lucas watched her. You think that is what I want. I think your counsel does. That is not the same thing. No. But your counsel keeps turning every moment between us and is something I am supposed to earn. Emma closed the bag. I pulled a spear out of a dying wolf. I did not submit an application to become Luna. Lucas's expression softened. I know. A knock sounded. Lady Cassandra Whitmore entered before either could continue. She had removed most of her ceremonial jewelry. Without the pearls and silver crown piece, she looked less like a political candidate and more like a tired woman trapped inside a beautiful dress. Emma. Emma straightened. Cassandra glanced toward Lucas. May I speak plainly? You usually do, Lucas said. Her eyes returned to Emma. The court believes you have already won. Emma nearly laughed. I was not competing. That is exactly why they are afraid of you. There was no cruelty in Cassandra's voice. Only frustration. Women here spent years learning which alliance to offer, which gown to wear, which words would please the crown. She looked toward the blue ribbon beside Lucas's medical tray. And you walked in with nothing. Emma held her gaze. I walked in with a wounded patient. I know. Cassandra's expression shifted. That is why I am warning you. Some people in this palace will not accept losing to something they cannot purchase. Emma thought immediately of Victor Crane. Who? Cassandra hesitated. Before she could answer, a servant entered. Your Majesty, Commander Crane requests an emergency military council. Lucas's face hardened. Tell him I will attend shortly. The servant bowed and left. Emma lifted her bag. I am leaving. Lucas looked at her. Tonight. Yes. Because of Cassandra? Because I want to remember who I was before everyone started discussing what chair I should sit in. Lucas absorbed that. Then he nodded. I will have the western gate opened. Emma studied him. You are not going to argue? I want you here. His voice lowered. But wanting you here does not give me the right to close the gate. Something warm moved through her chest. She ignored it. An hour later, Emma rode away from Blackwood Castle with the black and silver spear wrapped across the back of her saddle. Lucas had wanted guards to accompany her. She accepted one escort only as far as the village road. By sunset, she was alone. At her cottage, Emma placed the spear across the table and lit 3 candles. Victor's smile had stayed in her mind. So had Cassandra's warning. Emma cleaned the raven insignia carefully. Beneath the blood-darkened metal, a second mark appeared. Not a raven. 3 tiny lines crossed beneath its wing. Emma had seen them before, on military medicine crates delivered to border villages. She opened an old supply ledger. Crane Defense Forge. Her pulse quickened. This came from Victor's armory. A floorboard creaked behind her. Emma turned. 3 men stood inside the cottage. Royal military uniforms. No Blackwood Guard insignia. One man closed the door. Emma reached for the spear. He moved faster. Emma Collins, you are under arrest. For what? The officer placed a sealed order on the table. Treason. Possession of the weapon used in the attempted assassination of Alpha King Lucas Blackwood. Emma stared at him. That spear was inside him when I found him. That is your story. You know it is true. The officer looked toward the raven mark, then quietly covered it with cloth. Emma understood. They were not here because they believed she attacked Lucas. They were here because she had learned who did. She stepped backward. Who signed that order? The man smiled. Commander Victor Crane. Emma's blood went cold. Outside, horses surrounded the cottage. The officer reached for her wrists. Emma looked once toward the road leading back to Blackwood Castle. Lucas had opened the gate because she asked for freedom. Now someone else was going to use that freedom to make sure she never reached him again. If I wanted the Alpha King dead, Emma said, I would not have spent 4 days trying to keep him alive. The royal trial chamber erupted in whispers. Emma stood beneath the black banners of House Blackwood with her wrists unbound but surrounded by guards. On the evidence table lay the black and silver spear. Victor Crane stood across from her in full military uniform. Lucas sat above them on the throne. His face was unreadable. That frightened Victor more than anger would have. Victor lifted the spear. This weapon was found in Emma Collins's possession. Because I removed it from a dying wolf. A convenient story. Emma looked toward Lucas. He did not speak. He was giving her what she had asked for before. Room to stand on her own truth. Victor continued. No witness saw her save the king. No guard saw the attack. She possesses the weapon, understands silver, and had access to His Majesty while he was helpless. Cassandra Whitmore sat among the noble witnesses. Her expression tightened. Victor turned toward the council. She could have injured him, pretended to heal him, then entered the palace as his savior. Emma almost laughed. That would be an impressive amount of work for someone who did not even know the wolf could shift into a man. Several nobles exchanged looks. Victor ignored them. Can you prove that? Emma stared at the spear. Yes. The room quieted. She approached the evidence table. Bring me a magnifying lens, healer resin, and clean cloth. Samuel Bennett immediately provided them. Victor frowned. What are you doing? Something you should have done before accusing a healer with her own evidence. Emma turned the spear. Look at the blood pattern. Samuel leaned closer. The dried blood ran outward from the spearhead toward the broken shaft. Emma pointed. If I had driven this weapon into Lucas, most of the blood would have collected along the forward edge and entered the grain differently. Victor's expression changed slightly. This pattern happened when the spear was pulled backward through an existing wound. Samuel examined it. She is correct. Emma continued. Now the shaft. She rubbed a small amount of resin across the broken wood. A pale blue substance appeared between the fibers. My moonroot paste. Victor said nothing. I used it around the wound before removing the spear. The resin transferred onto the shaft when I pulled it free. Emma lifted the weapon, and the silver oxidation is darkest near the point. Samuel nodded slowly. It was exposed to blood for hours before removal. Emma looked directly at Victor. If I had been the attacker, why would my treatment compound be trapped beneath dried blood that formed before I supposedly began treating him? The chamber went silent. Victor recovered quickly. A clever reconstruction. The doors opened. Daniel Hayes entered carrying a leather case. Then perhaps you will prefer military records. Victor turned. Daniel placed 3 documents on the table. Blacksmith orders from Crane Defense Forge. He opened the first. 6 Royal Kill Spears commissioned under Commander Victor Crane's authorization. The second. Silver purchased from an unregistered border supplier. The third. Deployment orders placing Crane soldiers on the northern road the night the king disappeared. Victor's face hardened. Forged. Cassandra stood. No, everyone looked at her. She held up a correspondence seal. I have seen Commander Crane use this cipher for private military contracts. Victor stared at her. You would side with a village healer over your own court? Cassandra's expression cooled. I am siding with evidence. Victor reached for his sword. Daniel moved first. Steel rang once. Victor's weapon hit the floor. Guards surrounded him. Do not make this worse, Daniel warned. Victor looked toward Lucas. Your Majesty, command them to stop. Lucas finally rose. But no alpha command filled the room. He descended the throne steps slowly. Victor's breathing changed. Lucas stopped beside Emma. Then he looked at the spear. She removed that weapon while believing I was nothing more than a dying wolf. No one moved. She did not save a crown. Lucas placed Emma's faded blue ribbon beside the spear. She did not save wealth. His amber eyes moved across the council. She did not save a man who could reward her. Then he looked at Emma. She saved a life. Victor's face went pale as Daniel ordered him taken away. The trial chamber remained silent. One elder cleared his throat. Your Majesty, after such devotion, perhaps the question of Luna, no. Lucas did not look at the elder. He looked only at Emma. You came here because someone stole your freedom after I gave it back. Emma's throat tightened. Lucas stepped aside from the throne path. The western gate is open. The council stared. Emma did too. Lucas's voice softened. Emma Collins, do you want to leave? Yes, Emma said. I want to leave. The royal trial chamber went completely silent. Lucas Blackwood did not move. For one brief second, something painful crossed his face. Then he nodded. All right. No argument. No alpha command. No reminder that she had saved his life twice. No offer of jewels, titles, or a Luna throne. Emma realized that was why the answer hurt more than she expected. Lucas stepped farther away from the path leading toward the doors. The western gate will remain open. An elder stood abruptly. Your Majesty, after everything she has done, surely the crown should reward. She is not a debt the crown needs to repay. Lucas's voice remained calm. She is a person who just answered a question. Emma looked at him. Thank you. His amber eyes held hers. For saving my life? For listening to mine. That afternoon, Emma rode out of Blackwood Castle. The blue ribbon stayed with Lucas. The spear stayed in royal evidence. And for the first time since finding a dying wolf in the snow, Emma carried nothing connecting her to the palace. She needed that. Victor Crane was convicted months later of conspiracy against the crown, illegal silver procurement, falsifying military orders, and attempted murder. Cassandra Whitmore testified publicly against him. She also withdrew from the Lunas election. When a court reporter asked whether she blamed Emma, Cassandra replied simply, "No. I blame a system that taught us a king's attention was something women should compete to purchase." Lucas ended the Lunas election soon afterward. Not because he had already chosen Emma. Because, as he told the council, marriage was not supposed to be a royal auction. Emma heard about the reforms through village travelers. She pretended not to care. Then a royal letter arrived. She almost threw it into the fireplace. Almost. Inside was no romantic confession. No command. No invitation to return. Only a proposal. The crown wanted to create a royal healer service connecting remote villages to palace medicine stores. Lucas had written one sentence beneath it. "You understand what the palace keeps forgetting. Medicine is useless if only powerful people can reach it." Emma accepted under 3 conditions. Village healers would remain independent. Servants received the same emergency treatment as nobles. And no healer could be ordered to conceal medical evidence for political reasons. Lucas accepted all 3 without negotiation. Over the following months, Emma traveled throughout Blackwood territory. She trained younger healers, opened medicine routes, visited the castle only when necessary. Lucas never used those visits to pressure her. Sometimes they spoke for hours, sometimes only minutes. He learned that Emma hated formal banquets. She learned Lucas secretly fed palace dogs beneath the council table. He learned she drank tea too strong. She learned he still kept the faded blue ribbon in a drawer beside his bed. Gratitude slowly became friendship. Friendship became something neither of them named. Then winter returned. One evening, snow struck the cottage windows while Emma sorted dried moonroot beside the fireplace. A scratching sound came from the door. She froze. Scratch. Pause. Scratch. Emma slowly smiled. "You have hands now." Another scratch. She opened the door. An enormous black wolf sat outside. No blood. No spear. No royal guards. A faded blue ribbon was tied loosely around his neck. Emma folded her arms. "You know you can use the door as a man now." The wolf tilted his head. "Do not pretend you do not understand me." Black fur shifted beneath silver light. A moment later, Lucas stood in the snow wearing a dark traveling cloak. Emma looked behind him. No guards. They are several miles away. No crown. At the palace. No assassination weapon sticking through your shoulder. I hoped you would appreciate the improvement. She laughed. Lucas looked at the open cottage door. "I wanted to ask you something." Emma leaned against the frame. "Ask. When you saved the wolf, you did not know the king." "No. When you learned the truth, you chose to leave." "Yes. And now you know both." Emma's smile faded into something softer. Lucas looked unexpectedly nervous. "Which one would you let through the door?" She studied him. The wounded wolf who had trusted her hands. The king who had respected her answer. The flawed man who had learned not to mistake gratitude for love or power for permission. Emma stepped aside. "I saved the wolf without knowing the king." Lucas waited. She held the door open wider. "Now I'm choosing the man because I know both." Something warm broke across his face. He stepped inside. Emma caught the blue ribbon around his neck before he passed. "You still have this. You told me I could keep it. When you were a wolf. That rule has become increasingly inconvenient." Emma untied the ribbon. For 1 second, Lucas looked disappointed. Then she wrapped it around his wrist instead. "What does that mean?" he asked. "It means you are not bleeding on my floor tonight." He smiled. "And tomorrow?" Emma looked toward the snow outside. Then back at him. "Tomorrow, you can ask again." Lucas reached for her hand, but stopped before touching it. Emma noticed. She closed the distance herself. Their kiss was quiet. No court watched. No council applauded. No title changed hands. Outside, snow covered the same forest where Emma had once knelt beside a dying wolf and chosen to save a life that could offer her nothing. Now she knew exactly who stood before her. And she chose him anyway. "You keep asking me tomorrow," Lucas said. "I am beginning to suspect tomorrow is your favorite way of making a king nervous." Emma looked up from the medical ledger. "You survived silver poison. You can survive uncertainty." 3 months had passed since the night Lucas appeared at her cottage in wolf form without a spear through his shoulder. He still visited, sometimes as Alpha King, sometimes as Lucas. Once, annoyingly, as the black wolf who stole half a loaf of bread from her kitchen and then acted offended when she accused him. Their relationship had changed slowly. Emma preferred it that way. No royal announcement had followed their first kiss. No council decree named her Luna. No mate ceremony appeared on her doorstep. Lucas had asked what she wanted. Emma had answered, time. So he gave it. What neither of them expected was how quickly the royal healer service would grow. By early spring, 7 village clinics had opened. Medicine wagons traveled beyond the capital. Servants could enter palace treatment rooms through the same doors as nobles. And Emma had become the person royal administrators feared seeing walk toward them with a ledger. That morning, she stood inside the Western Palace infirmary while Lucas watched her argue with Samuel Bennett. You cannot send 12 crates of fever medicine to the capital, Emma said. Samuel adjusted his spectacles. The capital has the largest population. It also has 3 warehouses. The northern villages have fewer patients. They also have no road after heavy snow. Samuel sighed. Lucas leaned against the doorway. I was told kings made the difficult decisions. Emma pointed at him without looking. Stay out of this. Samuel stared. Lucas raised both hands. I have been dismissed. Emma returned to the ledger. 6 crates north. For east. 2 remain here. Samuel considered it. Reasonable. Thank you. He left. Lucas waited until the door closed. You enjoy ordering my officials around. I enjoy preventing them from doing stupid things. A subtle distinction. Emma finally looked at him. He was dressed for council in a black medieval coat embroidered with silver along the shoulders. No crown. She had noticed he wore it less often around her. What are you doing here? Looking for you. That sounds suspicious. I need your opinion. That sounds worse. Lucas smiled. Then his expression became serious. The council wants to name the Royal Healer Service after you. Emma stared. No, I assumed. Good. They also want you permanently stationed at the palace. No, I assumed that too. Emma closed the ledger. Then why are we having this conversation? Because there is a third proposal. She narrowed her eyes. Lucas placed a parchment on the table. Emma opened it. Her irritation disappeared. The proposal created an independent healer council with elected village representatives. No crown control over diagnoses. No noble priority in emergencies. No physician could be punished for documenting evidence of abuse, poisoning, or political violence. Emma read the final line twice. The Alpha King may fund the service, but may not overrule medical judgment. She slowly looked at Lucas. You wrote this. Yes. Your council hates it. Deeply. Emma almost smiled. Good. Lucas moved closer. I learned something while lying in your cottage. That your personality improves when you cannot talk? That too. She laughed. His eyes softened. I learned that power becomes dangerous when the person holding it is also the only person allowed to decide whether it is being used correctly. Emma looked back at the charter. The lesson was bigger than either of them now. She signed beneath Samuel's name. Lucas watched her. That was faster than when I asked you to kiss me. Medical reform has fewer emotional complications. Cruel. Accurate. A bell rang outside. Not an alarm. The noon council bell. Lucas glanced toward the corridor. I have to go. Emma nodded. He took 2 steps, then stopped. Tomorrow. She smiled. What about it? May I come to your cottage? As a man. Yes. No bleeding. I will do my best. No royal emergency arriving before dessert? That one is harder to promise. Emma walked toward him. Lucas waited. She adjusted the blue ribbon still tied around his wrist. You can come. His expression warmed. Is that all? Emma rose onto her toes and kissed his cheek. For today. Lucas stared at her. She returned to the ledger. Go be king. He walked toward the door. Then a young healer rushed into the room, pale and breathless. Emma. She stood immediately. What happened? The healer held out a sealed vial. Inside, a black liquid shimmered around a single fragment of silver. We found this in a patient from the eastern border. Lucas stopped. Emma's smile disappeared. The silver had the same dark oxidation she remembered from the spear. She looked at Lucas. Victor is in prison. I know. Then someone else knows how that poison was made. Lucas stepped back into the room. This time, neither of them joked. Emma lifted the vial toward the light. The black liquid moved. Then a tiny raven symbol appeared against the glass. The same insignia that had once been carved into the weapon she pulled from a dying wolf. Emma's voice became quiet. Apparently the spear was not the beginning. Lucas looked toward the eastern windows. No, his amber eyes hardened. It was a warning. If Victor was only carrying someone else's weapon, Emma said, then we imprisoned the hand and left the mind untouched. Lucas's expression hardened. The black liquid shimmered inside the sealed vial between them. Samuel Bennett returned to the infirmary within minutes. He examined the sample beneath a magnifying lens, then carefully added a drop of moonroot extract. The liquid turned silver. Emma's stomach tightened. Same reaction. Samuel nodded. The poison from the spear. Lucas looked toward the young healer. Who was the patient? A border courier named Thomas Reed. Alive. For now. Emma was already gathering her instruments. Where is he? Eastern treatment room. Lucas followed her. Thomas lay beneath heavy blankets, sweat covering his face. Dark veins spread from a small wound near his ribs. Emma examined it. No spear. The healer shook her head. He said something scratched him during an attack. Emma leaned closer. A thin black splinter remained beneath the skin. She removed it carefully. Not wood. Metal. Lucas stared. A dart. Emma placed it beside the vial. The same raven symbol had been etched into the base. Thomas's eyes opened weakly. Your Majesty? Lucas stepped closer. Who attacked you? Thomas swallowed. Men wearing no colors. How many? 6. Emma continued treating the wound. What were you carrying? Thomas looked toward her. A message from Eastwatch. Lucas's face changed. What message? Thomas tried to sit up. Emma pushed him gently back. Talk without moving. Eastwatch commander said someone has been buying abandoned silver mines along the border. Lucas frowned. Under whose name? Thomas breathed hard. Not Crane. Emma looked at Lucas. Who? Thomas whispered one word. Whitmore. Silence. Emma's hand stopped. Lady Cassandra Whitmore. Lucas shook his head immediately. That makes no sense. Emma looked at him. You trust her? She testified against Victor. She also belongs to one of the wealthiest houses in the kingdom. Samuel opened the courier's leather pouch. Inside was a partially burned contract. Cassandra Whitmore, authorized purchaser. Emma felt something cold settle in her chest. Lucas took the document. This signature could be forged. It could, Emma said. He looked at her. She continued. And after what happened with Victor, we do not accuse someone because a paper tells us to. Lucas nodded slowly. That mattered. Months ago, the court would have treated a noble signature as truth. Now they had learned better. Daniel entered moments later. We questioned Victor. Lucas turned. And? He laughed. Emma frowned. At what? Daniel looked toward the burned contract. He said we finally found the wrong woman. Lucas's eyes narrowed. He named Cassandra? No, then what did he say? Daniel's expression darkened. He said the raven was never a family crest. Emma looked at the symbol on the dart. Then what is it? A network mark. Samuel went still. Lucas noticed. You know something. Samuel hesitated. Years ago, royal physicians whispered about a military project called Raven Circle. Emma's pulse quickened. What project? Silver compounds designed to weaken alpha wolves without killing them. Lucas's voice became cold. For what purpose? Samuel looked directly at him. To make powerful wolves controllable. The room seemed smaller. Emma remembered the spear. The poison near Lucas's heart. The attack that left him trapped in wolf form. This was never only an assassination attempt. Samuel shook his head. No, Emma understood. They wanted Lucas alive. Daniel swore quietly. Lucas looked toward the eastern windows. Victor tried to kill me. Or believed he was supposed to, Emma said. Everyone turned toward her. She pointed at the silver dart. What if the spear was designed to force Lucas into wolf form and keep him there? Samuel's face changed. Emma continued. Then the silver fragment near his heart was not a failure. It was a restraint, Samuel whispered. Lucas looked at the blue ribbon around his wrist. For the first time, the memory of Emma saving him became something darker. Someone had expected him to survive. Just not as himself. Thomas suddenly grabbed Emma's sleeve. There is more. She leaned closer. What? The Eastwatch commander found a shipment schedule. Where? Thomas's breathing became shallow. Blackwood Castle. Lucas froze. Emma stared at him. Not arriving at the castle. Leaving it. Daniel understood first. The poison is being manufactured inside the royal territory. Thomas shook his head weakly. No, his eyes found Lucas. Inside the palace. The room fell silent. Then every bell in Blackwood Castle began ringing at once. Not the council bell. Not an alarm from the walls. The infirmary evacuation signal. A guard appeared in the doorway. Your Majesty, the Western Medical Vault has been breached. Emma's blood went cold. What was stored there? Samuel looked at her. Every sample recovered from the spear. Lucas reached for his sword. The guard swallowed. There is something else. What? The vault was not robbed. He looked toward the smoke beginning to rise beyond the corridor. It was set on fire. The fire is not meant to destroy the poison, Emma said. It is meant to destroy the proof of who made it. Smoke rolled through the western corridor of Blackwood Castle. Servants rushed toward the courtyard while guards carried buckets from the cistern. Lucas moved beside Emma through the chaos, one hand on the hilt of his sword. Daniel ran ahead. The medical vault is below the infirmary. If the fire reaches the silver storage, it will spread toxic smoke through the entire western wing, Samuel finished. Emma stopped. Then everyone needs to leave. Lucas looked at her. You are leaving too. No, Emma. The vault contains the formulas. It is burning. So is the evidence. Lucas's jaw tightened. She recognized the expression. The king who wanted to protect her by deciding for her. Emma stepped closer. Do not turn concern into an order. His face changed. Then he nodded once. What do you need? Water-soaked cloth, moonroot powder, and access to the lower ventilation gates. Lucas turned toward Daniel. You heard her. They reached the vault entrance minutes later. Fire consumed the outer shelves. Emma covered her mouth with wet cloth and crouched beneath the smoke. Samuel pointed toward a metal cabinet at the back. The original spear samples were stored there. Lucas shifted partially. Claws broke through his fingers. I can reach it. Emma caught his arm. No, he looked at her. The poison was designed for you. If those containers break, I understand. Then let Daniel go. Daniel shook his head. I am deeply touched. Despite everything, Emma almost smiled. Then she noticed something strange. The fire burned hottest around the evidence shelves. But the stone floor near the rear wall was untouched. Wait. She moved closer. A line of black residue crossed the floor. Not soot. Oil. Someone had poured a controlled path through the vault. This was planned. Lucas followed her gaze. Emma traced the trail toward a narrow service door. Daniel tried the handle. Locked. Lucas broke it. Behind the door, a spiral staircase descended beneath the palace. Samuel went pale. That passage should not exist. Emma looked at him. But it does. Lucas drew his sword. They descended. The smoke thinned. At the bottom was a hidden chamber filled with glass equipment, silver ingots, sealed vials, and rows of military records. Raven symbols marked every crate. Emma stopped. This is the real laboratory. Daniel opened one ledger. His expression darkened. Names. Lucas stepped closer. Whose? Daniel turned the page. Alphas. Dozens of them. Regional leaders. Commanders. Royal heirs. Beside each name were notes. Resistance level. Dosage. Behavioral response. Emma looked toward Lucas's entry. Subject Blackwood, Lucas. Primary objective, forced wolf state. Secondary objective, crown compliance. Her stomach turned. They never wanted you dead. Lucas stared at the page. They wanted a king they could control. A voice came from the darkness. Every kingdom needs a leash. They turned. Lady Cassandra Whitmore stood on the opposite platform. Her silver gown was gone. She wore a dark riding coat, one hand resting on a mechanical release beside 3 large glass reservoirs. Daniel raised his sword. Step away from that. Cassandra smiled sadly. I warned Emma that some people would not accept losing what they could not purchase. Emma stared at her. That warning was about yourself. No, Cassandra's expression hardened. It was about the court. Lucas stepped forward. You testified against Victor. Because Victor became reckless. You used him. I inherited him. The words landed heavily. Cassandra looked toward the Raven records. My family funded this project for 40 years. Kings change. Councils change. Wolves become unstable. Her eyes moved to Lucas. Someone has to ensure the crown remains manageable. Emma felt anger rise. You poisoned people to make them obedient. We prevented wars. You created fear and called it peace. Cassandra's hand tightened around the release. Lucas stopped moving. What happens if you pull that? Every reservoir empties into the palace ventilation system. Samuel whispered, concentrated silver vapor. Cassandra nodded. Enough to weaken every alpha in this castle. Emma's eyes moved across the chamber. 3 reservoirs. 1 release mechanism. 1 pressure line feeding all of them. She understood. Lucas saw her expression. No. Emma looked at him. I know how to stop it. Then tell me. The main pressure valve is behind her. You are not going near it. Cassandra laughed. There. Even now, the king decides. Lucas looked at Emma. The words struck exactly where Cassandra intended. Emma held his gaze. I need you to trust me. His jaw tightened. Then slowly, he lowered his sword. What do you need? Keep her looking at you. Emma moved toward the side wall. Cassandra noticed. Stop. Lucas stepped forward. Cassandra immediately focused on him. Another step and I release it. Lucas stopped. You wanted control of the crown. I wanted stability. No. You wanted obedience. Emma reached the maintenance pipe. A small brass will control the pressure. Too far. Cassandra saw her. Emma. She pulled the release. Emma lunged. Lucas moved too. The reservoirs opened. Silver vapor surged into the pipes. Emma grabbed the wheel with both hands and turned. Nothing. It was locked. She pulled the healer knife from her belt and jammed it between the gears. Metal screamed. The pressure line cracked. Steam exploded sideways. Daniel tackled Cassandra away from the release. Lucas shifted fully into his black wolf form and placed his body between Emma and the shattered pipe. Silver vapor struck his fur. He roared. Lucas! Emma crawled beneath him and found the emergency drain. She kicked it open. The silver mixture poured into the stone containment trench instead of the ventilation system. The reservoirs emptied. The chamber fell silent except for Lucas's breathing. He shifted back slowly. Emma caught him before he hit the floor. You absolute idiot. His mouth twitched. You needed me to keep her looking at me, not absorb silver vapor. I improvised. Daniel restrained Cassandra. Samuel began gathering the ledgers. Emma checked Lucas's eyes. Clear. His pulse strong. The exposure had been brief. He would recover. Cassandra looked toward them. You think destroying this laboratory ends Raven? Emma turned. Cassandra smiled. There are other circles. Lucas stood with Emma's help. Then we find them. Cassandra laughed softly. You cannot even trust your own court. Lucas looked at Emma. Then at Daniel. Samuel. The evidence. No, he said. But I finally know trust is not the same thing as control. Emma felt his hand find hers. Not gripping. Asking. She closed her fingers around it. Above them, the palace bells stopped ringing. The fire was contained. But on the final Raven ledger, Samuel found one last entry. Emma Collins. Status, observe. Potential leverage against subject Blackwood. Lucas read the line. His face went cold. Emma took the ledger from his hand. No, he looked at her. She tore the page out, then held it over a lantern flame. They do not get to turn me into your weakness. The paper burned between her fingers. Lucas watched the ashes fall. Emma met his eyes. If Raven wants to know what I am to you, let them learn the hard way. Lucas's voice lowered. And what are you? Emma stepped closer. Someone who chooses to stand beside you. For the first time, that answer did not sound like gratitude. It sounded like war. You once asked which version of you I would let through my door, Emma said. I think I finally know the answer. Lucas Blackwood looked at her across the courtyard of the new Royal Healer Council. 1 year had passed since the Raven Laboratory beneath Blackwood Castle was destroyed. Cassandra Whitmore had been convicted of conspiracy, unlawful silver experimentation, attempted poisoning, and operating the Raven Circle through noble and military networks. But Lucas had refused to treat her arrest as the end. Raven had survived for decades because powerful people could hide medicine, military authority, and royal secrets behind the same closed doors. So those doors changed. Every silver purchase now required independent review. Royal physicians answered to an elected medical council rather than the crown. Regional alphas could not authorize experimental treatments without informed consent, and every Raven record recovered from the hidden laboratory had been opened to the families of those who had been used. Emma had insisted on that part. People deserve to know what was done to them, she had said. Lucas had agreed, not because she asked as the woman he loved, because she was right. The Royal Healer Service now reached 23 villages. Emma still lived in her cottage most weeks. She still rejected the palace apartment prepared for her. and she still became irritated whenever officials called her Lady Collins. Lucas found this endlessly entertaining. "You are smiling," Emma said. "I am thinking. That usually causes paperwork." He laughed. The blue ribbon remained tied around his wrist. Faded now. Almost colorless. Emma looked at it. "You know I can give you a new one." "No, it is barely blue anymore." "It survived." "So did you. That is why I keep it." Her expression softened. Across the courtyard, Daniel supervised guards unloading medicine crates while Samuel argued with two administrators over inventory records. No one noticed the Alpha King standing quietly beside a village healer. Or perhaps they had finally learned not to make everything into a royal spectacle. Lucas looked toward Emma. "The council approved your Eastern clinic." "My clinic?" "The independent clinic you threatened to build without asking me." Emma nodded. "That one. They approved it." "Good. There is also something else." She narrowed her eyes. "That sounds dangerous." Lucas reached into his coat. Emma immediately pointed at him. "If that is a Luna contract, it is not." "A royal appointment?" "No." "A jewel?" Lucas looked offended. "I have learned something in the last year." "Have you?" "Yes. You dislike objects when they come with expectations." Emma relaxed slightly. Lucas opened his hand. There was nothing in it. Just his palm. Emma stared. "You traveled 3 hours to show me your hand." "I traveled 3 hours to ask whether I may keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Coming back." The humor left her face. Lucas continued. "Not as repayment for what you did in the forest." Emma listened. "Not because you saved me twice." His amber eyes held hers. "Not because the court thinks a king should eventually choose a Luna." He stepped closer but stopped before touching her. "I want to come back because I know who you are when no one is watching." Emma remembered a dying black wolf beneath the snow. She had thought he could offer her nothing. That had been the reason the choice mattered. Now Lucas stood before her with an entire kingdom behind him. And somehow, he had finally learned how to arrive with empty hands. Emma placed her palm against his. "You asked which version of you I would let through my door." Lucas waited. "The wolf." She smiled. "The wolf was terrible at drinking medicine." "The king. Too many opinions." He almost laughed. Emma closed the distance between them. But the man learned. Lucas's expression softened. So I choose the man who knows he is both." She kissed him. No nobles applauded. No council announced a bond. No crown changed owners. Only Lucas's fingers gently closed around hers. Later that evening, they returned to Emma's cottage. Snow had begun falling over the forest. Lucas paused outside the same door where he had once appeared as a wounded black wolf. Emma opened it. He looked at her. "May I come in?" She smiled. "You are not bleeding." "I was careful." "No spear." "None." "No secret identity?" "Not tonight." Emma stepped aside. "Then come in." Lucas crossed the threshold. And this time, neither the wolf nor the king needed saving. Only a man needed somewhere he had chosen to return, and a woman who still had the freedom to open the door.